That's what obviously would need to be figured out.
College football rankings came out last night. There's one change. Georgia has slowly and methodically moved themselves up to the top, of course, coming off a very one-sided, lopsided win against the ranked Ole Miss. Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State. The four remain the same: Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. Right there outside of that, as they look for somebody else to eventually play each other or have a bad day. And speaking of which, then we go to what Russ Dellinger does every year or every week. If, in fact, it was 12, this is who you would have. It's changed up a little bit. Alabama, Missouri, Michigan, Tulane, Oregon, and Oregon State, Texas, Louisville. That's changed a few times on who they would play. And then the other four top seeds would be waiting in the wings for whoever won the first round game.
Actually, theoretically, this is almost could happen. If everything were checked, except for Oregon and Oregon State, because they play next week. So
yeah, no, it's just based on the rankings.
I mean, but as far as all this could almost be the thing. Like it's just.
And my whole theory is what? That they would never make that the first round game. They would change up the 12.
Yeah,
that they would not play again.
They would kick Oregon State up to Texas and move Louisville down to Oregon or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Or whoever would be 8. Alabama would play one of the two or something of that particular way.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the rankings, Georgia back at number 1 and overtaking Ohio State. So you've got the Dogs back in that top spot, and I think they flexed their muscles here and shown that they're a pretty complete team and really beat up Ole Miss, and so that was something that impressed Boo Corrigan, as he was saying on the show last night. I'm sure you guys watched and you know what I'm talking about here. But no, I mean their resume and just the total package, I guess, is what the selling point was for Georgia to be back in that number 1 spot. And Florida State's an interesting case there. If they win out, they're going to be in, but. You wonder about the pack behind them and Washington in particular. What does that look like? Because Washington would have a better resume if they went out. So that would bump Florida State, you would think, if they're able to win out, which is easier said than done, obviously. Although that Apple Cup looks a lot less dangerous than it has in recent weeks. Of the two big Civil War and Apple Cup, the Oregon side of things, definitely the tougher matchup. The Washington side, not so much. But yeah, Florida State. 5 unbeatens now. They've got that 4 spot, but like I said, if everything were to stay chalk, then that would be an interesting decision to have to make. But I think you look at Washington's resume, and it wouldn't be really that much of an argument.
Well, Oregon, and that's if one of the two, Ohio State, Michigan,
but Ohio State, Michigan will play, so that will
or one of them gets blown out.
Again, if any team goes undefeated, they're in the 4, and so if you're in Florida State or Washington's position, who are going to be the 3rd and 4th teams no matter what. If there were 4 undefeated teams, and the first 2 are Michigan and Georgia, Florida State and Washington are going to be 3 and 4. Like there's no in whatever order you want to put them in. You're just happy to be in the 4 at that point.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be going, oh darn, because
you damn sure don't keep your eye off of what's in front of you rather than what others are doing.
In the 4-team playoff, if you're either of those teams, you are drawing a difficult card. It's not something you're to be like, oh, I wish we got Georgia because we might slightly match up better with them. Either team's a buzzsaw.
Yeah, the Ohio State Michigan is going to change that. But if you're looking at those 2 programs and who deserves 4, then I think you look at Washington's schedule and you say, they've had a little bit of a tougher road. So that's one that you look at and you're like, okay, but the fact that there is Ohio State, Michigan looming, it clears some of that mess up for them, which I'm sure the committee took into account. So it's not that big of a deal. It will work itself out.
You wonder, though, if Ohio State, Michigan just might flip if it's 21-20 or 17-14 or something like that.
That starts to enter the equation. We got to cross that bridge when we get there. But, yeah, you do wonder about that.
We're going to eventually get to that bridge, that's for sure, because